Yeah, okay.
Recording is on.
So, one project out of all these chips that we talked about.
One project to rule them all. And I found that recorder on Alibaba for $3.64 on a breakout board, no less.
What? What Dave just talked about?
Yeah, the one. Yeah, the ISD recorder chip.
Oh, well, that's a lot cheaper than eBay, because eBay wanted about $5 or $6 plus delivery.
Yeah, and
So
well,
that's the same
the
chip that
delivery's
was
on there, but yeah.
That's very cool.
All right, well, we'll have to think about that one and see what's on there. Okay. Let's see what else we got going here. All right, well, does anybody have any? I won't bore anybody with my issues. I've already commandeered enough time on the.
Anybody want to blow money on a Raspberry Pi? I've got a new toy.
Oh, do you?
Well, this is actually from my brother. He's a little computer destructive. Let's just say he doesn't. He clicks on everything, and he's got an old Windows machine, and we don't want to spend the money, and he doesn't have a lot of money. So anyway, so I got this. It's an Argon 1 case. It's called.
Yep.
And you can put in the bottom, you can put a solid state hard drive. So instead of an SD card, so you get decent response on it.
Yep.
And the card fits in here, if I can get it out. Oh crap, no, I can't get it out. Anyway, it slides in here and all the ports come out one side. They've got a little daughter card, and it's got it's aluminum case. So, and it comes down, the heat sinks come down and get the heat off the chips through the aluminum case. So, and there's a fan in there. So it's well cooled, and you can somehow get, if I can get it off here, you still have access to the GPIO port on the top if you want.
Yep.
So basically I'm building him a little kiosk computer out of a Raspberry Pi. The only thing he's going to be able to do is run a web browser, which is all he needs. And he can't mess it up. And it doesn't matter what he clicks on. I can set the permissions that, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to do anything. So
well, he won't
I just thought it's the nicest case I've ever seen for a Raspberry Pi.
I've been wondering about that. I've seen the advertisements for them, and they seem to be worth the money, but you never know until you get one, right? So it's nice to hear you say that.
It seems fairly well built. I don't know if I can.
What size SSD will it take?
It takes an M.2 SATA drive, so you can go up to, I think, like a terabyte or something. Like I've got a 500 gig one in here. I got for $90.
Yep.
But it's got a little fan in the top, and you can see where it's got the extensions to grab the heatsink connector, or the connections from the heatsink down to the chips on the board. So, but it seems fairly well built, actually. I mean, it was like, I don't know, $50 or something, $60, almost as much as the Raspberry Pi.
Does it take the 3s and 4s?
No,
it's just for the 4s.
Yeah, it's just for the 4.
Yeah.
But
it's specific to the heat sinks on the 4 because it generates so much heat just idling.
Yeah, but it's because I've got another 4 here, and I use it for my ham radio stuff, and it's just fine. And that's with an SD card. So with an SSD, it'll be more than enough.
That's really good to know. I'm operating all my digital modes through a Pi 4. I'm actually sitting here remotely. I just got chilly, and one of the challenges has been finding a proper case for it. That I have it's running on an SSD because I've had great difficulties with the micro SDs crashing.
Yeah, they don't handle the write cycles.
No, they don't last
No.
long. So
Yeah, exactly.
My weather receiver works off of a 128 gig SanDisk, and the other ones are 128 gig SSDs. And that Argon case would be nice and robust enough that it might even incorporate some level of shielding. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think the bottom part is plastic, but the top part is metal. It's aluminum, so it's fairly robust. Like I was even going to take the SSD is so large, I was going to partition it off and make a backup of it, of the boot stuff. So if I ever have to restore anything, I just copy it over, and the partition's not accessible to him, so he can't mess it up.
It's probably a really good idea. That's one of the things I find. I just had to redo the whole thing because WSJT got corrupted and it wouldn't transmit anymore. And so I just copied the micro SD back onto the SSD and was back up and running again. It's a very slick system, very robust if you know to expect that there will be a problem and plan for it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been putting together for my good deed for the day sort of thing. So, he's got a Windows 8 machine and it's just terrible. It's so slow, it's unusable. And
that little pile probably blow him right. That little pile will do very nicely.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be more than enough for him. So,
what are you using? You said you had a Raspberry Pi for all your ham programs, Kevin. What are you running off of the Pi? What program are you talking? Like digital modes and stuff like that?
Yeah, I got WSJT. Well, I have it. I kind of have it here. This is my new ham desk, sort of. It's not done yet, but I have it on a monitor, and I have the Pi just kind of hanging off. Well, yeah, it fell off the back of the monitor, but it just sits on the back of the monitor, and that's my ham computer.
That's what I do with mine. I have FL Digi, and actually there's a software package, W3DLS, I think it is, and I just put that onto an SD card, and it runs all the modes. It's got all kinds of stuff. It has GPredict, has everything in it. It even has antenna analyzers and HF propagation prediction. It's a howl, and it's free. You just download it, let it update itself. The next thing you know, it's up and running. All digital modes.
Yeah, it's the entire image, right?
It is. Yeah, I just pulled down that one. They call it Ham Pi. And
that's it. Yeah.
There's a variety of these things out there, but I find Ham Pi to be the most reliable. There's another guy, he's a bit of a prepper out in the middle of nowhere, and his is a little flaky. Every time I try to run it, there's always something wrong with it. But this guy, this DLS guy, he's done a nice job. The one thing that's missing is to update WSJT is a bit of a challenge. And I haven't done that. I'm still running, I think, 2 iterations back.
Yeah, I built WSJT from source and FL Digi and updated it, so I got the latest one. Yeah,
and I did that with one of them, and it was working really well. But I did, anyways. I was having a great deal of difficulty with WSJT actually transmitting. It would not transmit. It kept turning the sound off, and I'm not sure what was going on with it. Whether it was the ELSA controller or there's all kinds of grief with
there's that stuff too. Yeah.
So because of that, I just redid the whole thing, and I've got it running now. So I'm just kind of killing chickens at midnight to keep it running.
That's where my chickens are going.
Absolutely. You got to get out there. You got to get out there with a wizard cap at midnight and make sure the computer still runs in the morning.
Question for you, Drew. Are you using high endurance SD cards?
No, actually, I wasn't aware there was such a thing. I use Class 10 SanDisks.
Right. Because SanDisk, amongst others, makes a line of these ones that are meant for lots of read-write cycles. Like you shove them into your, Wise cams and that kind of thing. They're purpose built for that. They're probably about double the price for the equivalent capacity. But I wonder if that would be a possible solution to the issue of crashing cards, because I hear that a lot. I don't have experience myself, but I know they come in the micro form, which you could obviously convert into a full size. But
that might actually be one way to do it. All I do with these things, I just buy a big USB stick, and I buy the very small format so that when it goes in the USB, I still have enough room to be able to do other things.
The little stubby one.
The last one, a little tiny one.
Yeah.
And I got this one. It's a 128 gig SanDisk, and I have it running my weather receiving station, and it's been running flawlessly for, I don't know, a month or so. Which, of course, having said that, it'll crash tonight. But that's been my one find. I didn't know there was such a thing as a long endurance micro SD card. That's a good find to have.
You're talking about USB though, eh? I guess. I'm not familiar. You can use either or for storage on a Pi.
Absolutely.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you can boot from the USB.
Right. Yeah.
So on a Pi 4, yes. Yeah. So that's where the SSD comes in as well. As my SSD actually plugs in to the USB port. I don't go in through the GPIO or anything.
Okay.
But it's very prone to radiation. I had a lot of difficulty with bad grounds and spent, at the urging of Dave EAC, I re-examined all of the grounding in my ham shack and found that I probably didn't have any. So that was probably what was wrong with what was going on. And so I fixed all of that, and all of my noise levels dropped, and it was quite miraculous. And then all of a sudden my machine stopped failing, which was really nice.
Yeah, I guess grounds have a lot to answer for, because Dave found, I think he found some big time improvements on his system when he did the grounding properly. And I guess, Dave, you've gone through a bit of exercises with the grounds as well too. But
well, he sure inspired me with his story, and I did gain considerably without a lot of effort. So I was obviously in very poor shape. Maybe
something I should look into as well. Okay. All right, let's go to the top of my screen here. Ken, don't know if you have anything new in your bench or not.
Peter, did you want me to do a microcontroller segment?
Oh, sure. If you got one to go, why not?
Yeah, I got about 6 or 7 of them.
Well, I don't want to hear 6 or 7 of them in a row.
No, I didn't want to.
But if you got one that you want to go off with, yeah, we got lots of time.
Okay, let me just, my PC here is giving me grief, and it's.
So you volunteer to do something, and your PC's acting up. Okay.
No, it's I'm on my laptop here. My regular PC I use for all my work. It puked today. It won't boot, and I'm going through all the crap here trying to fix this friggin' thing. I'm trying to get it to boot into safe mode, and it can't. It won't. Anyway, so here, let me do my enough about my belly aching. I've heard Eric belly ache enough about his vaccines.
Hey, you're proud of me. You learned some words, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I learned how to cuss. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Where am I? So yeah. So you guys were talking. I got a whole bunch of talks here, right? I could do, but I thought I'd do the here's the FRS one. I'll save that for another time. But since you guys are talking about FL Digi and Pi, maybe I'll do my ICOM interface project.
Oh, very good.
Okay, so what this is, it's I had an ICOM IC707. That's a picture of it here in the background. It's an old ICOM I got in a estate sale. Got it for several $100s, and best investment I ever made. I tell you, Ken, you were looking at getting an older ICOM, go for it, man. So I had a long history of interfacing my PC to my ICOM. I tried doing all kinds of stuff, and I was too cheap to go buy an interface. And I kept trying to build stuff with transistors, and I was just plagued with RFI and ground loops. I fried so many transistors, and there'll be times where I'd key up the radio, and all of a sudden my PC would start doing weird things, and vice versa. My radio would start flipping channels, and it would just all of a sudden it would just go nuts. Things would just be weird, and it was just RFI and ground loops. So I needed a better solution. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this right. So what I did was I completely isolated the PC section from the radio section. 2 completely different grounds. They never touch. I used opto isolators and transformers to cross over between the 2. So there was never a direct connection. And I used a whole bunch of these chokes. So there's a choke coming in on the USB power supply. And I bought these chokes off of, I did some research, and I found DigiKey had these chokes, which were perfect. Just absolutely, you look at the curves, it was perfect because anything, from about a meg up, it just knocked it right down. So I had one in every power supply line. On the radio supplied power to the radio portion of it, and so I had a couple of chokes there as well, and transformers. This was all driven by a PIC. Of course, it has to be a microcontroller, right? That has to do it. And I also put a USB chip. So I just plugged the USB in, and I didn't have to play around with loading drivers. This was what's that chip? The FTDI chip. So, almost every computer had the driver. I didn't have to worry about loading drivers. It was plug and play. So here's the PCB board, and you could see right here, you could see the split between the grounds. You could see the ground port. So this side's the radio, and this side's the PC, right? So here's the USB coming in, and I had switches, various switches, and I had all kinds of LEDs. I had to use an ISCP chip because it was a PIC microcontroller. And so I had to use a ISCP interface to program the chip. I even had put an interface here for future if I wanted to connect this to something else. I had a sound card interface it had pots to control the audio levels. And I've been using this now for years and years and years. All my RFI problems went away. No more problems. It works flawlessly. As a matter of fact, when I contacted you guys at Carrick's that time, a few months ago, I was using that interface. So from a software perspective, it's dirt simple. Dirt simple to run this. Now in the PIC, you define, you're talking to the hardware. So I had defines. So this RXD_USB is just a define pointing to a pin. So if that pin was high, basically something's coming back from the USB. I dropped the pin, or I pull the pin up on the radio, the pin going to the radio, and vice versa. If something was coming back from the radio, I did the same thing, and basically that was it. I was just looking at bits going up and bits coming down. I wasn't storing anything. I was just passing it through. Basically passing it through. Very, very simple. And so there's the interface there. And I had various LEDs which would flash. You'd see in my code, I had LEDs going on and off. Various LEDs. Indicating, I think DTR, I use that to key the rig.
Yep.
For doing push to talk, right? So that was my push to talk there, and the rest of this was just stuff going to and from the radio.
So you did not use a 4N25 or some other opto isolator?
A which?
You used what opto isolator did you use?
Oh, it was. I don't know if it's labeled on here. Can we zoom in?
It'd be something like a 4N25 or a 4N30.
Yeah, it's something like that. No, you can't see it here.
See, I look at my interface. I took mine off of it was a website that used to be very good for packet and digital back in the days. And they had a 4N25 interface, but it's ridiculously simple.
Yeah, I got the chips here. I got a whole big reel of them. I don't know where I put them. I went to Dayton, and I got like a 4-foot reel, a 4-foot
strip
piece of them.
Yep.
And I got them like dirt cheap. So that was perfect. So I used a bunch of them for this project, and this was. The hardest part was just figuring out the hardware. Really, the hardest part was really getting this chip, getting the footprint of that chip, and getting that etched, because this was all etched. using toner transfer, right?
Right.
So that's it. And there's my 2 knobs I use to control levels. And that's it. And this thing works flawlessly.
That's a highly sophisticated interface.
And the nice thing is that since it's got a pick, if I want to go and want to add any other features, or if, for example, I'm going to interface this to a Kenwood, and I got to, introduce some new, the polarity of signals reversed, because with the ICOM, the polarity is reversed, right? So that's why I had to do bit banging. But if I want to connect this to a Kenwood, and Kenwood's got some wonky way of doing things, I got a microcontroller. I can easily go and program it for going do things. And the other thing too is that you could potentially write code in this, so it can. So, for example, if you've got a BitX, you could connect this to your BitX, and you could use these pins for doing other things, and you could have this simulate CAT to your USB. And I think people are doing that now with Arduinos and stuff like that.
Did you etch that board yourself, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is definitely not that sophisticated. I didn't even put the transformers in.
Yeah, no, I completely isolated everything. The 2 grounds do not touch.
Yeah, well, that's the only way to do it. I think you're right there.
Well, if you got a yard long of chips, it sounds like you might be going in the interface business, Dave, in your retirement.
Yeah. Well, I have to use them for something, right?
Those 4 and 25s are cheap. I think I bought 10 or 15 of them, maybe 20 of them in a strip as well. And I don't recall them being very expensive.
Yeah, no. As I said, I saw them at Dayton. I think Eric, remember those guys, the mad scientist guys? We used to buy all those spark gap things and
Sure.
the sodium we bought. I still got my sodium here, by the way.
You brought sodium across the border?
In your shack?
Yeah, I got it somewhere. I got it stashed because it was packed in oil. Right?
Yeah, you should probably check to make sure that it hasn't dried out of oil. Mine's pretty dry right now, and if that stuff comes in contact with any moisture, right, kaboom.
Well, it'll deal with itself very quickly. It'll only be a problem for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you won't even know what hit you.
So interestingly enough, they allowed you to bring sodium over the border?
Well, they didn't know.
Ah.
you think I'm stupid enough to? I got a pound of sodium in the back.
I was going to say they were
and some black powder.
I got to go to Dayton. They sell bricks of sodium. This is my place.
There was this place at Dayton. They had this company. I think they're still around. They're called Mad Scientists or something like that. And they would just have all these things, weird gadgets and stuff. They'd be selling off. I bought a bunch of power supplies. I don't have one handy. I gave one to someone just recently. Who did I give one of those power supplies to?
Wow.
Someone in the homebrew community. I gave them a power supply.
Oh, is that
and it's like a rack mount. It's a power supply meant for a rack mount.
Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Oh, thanks for that, Dave.
Possibly want to use sodium.
What was that, Sam?
What could you possibly use sodium for in radio?
Blowing things up.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think it has any radio potential at all.
Yeah, well, Dave, you've got bigger cojones than I. I mean, that stuff has been in a metal ammo box out in the horse running ever since I got it. So,
Sam, as soon as you make your first trip to 4 Days of Maine, Dayton, with Dave, Eric, and I, you will understand why they got sodium.
Oh, yes. No, I think that's a fair statement.
Okay.
And you will also understand why you'll probably want to come with me and not them.
The mineral oil there shouldn't be any evaporation or anything out of that. So I mean, I'm surprised one of them's gone dry.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, it was like sealed, well, not vacuum sealed, but very tightly wrapped, and it was definitely swimming in oil when I got it. Probably 5 years ago now, or more. But last time I looked at it, it was looking pretty dry. I mean, there was actually, I think, crystals forming on the outside of the brick. So
I didn't know
that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's got a hole in it because the mineral oil has no vapor pressure.
Right. No, you're right. So I'm just a little scary. I don't know. Next time I invite Dave over, I'm gonna have him recoat it in oil. So.
Well, you see, it's a perfect time to use one of those robotic arms to go and pick it up and move it.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got to bury it in the back acreage.
There it is. Oh, this would be a perfect time. Kaboom!
But there are guys that do videos on these things.
Picture the videos recording.
They had some guy drop a brick of those things in a swimming pool, and put it on YouTube. I just don't understand where anybody gets their hands on a pound of sodium. I mean, it's not the kind of thing you can order it through Amazon. You'll get a note from somebody.
Eric, I got mine still has oil.
Okay.
Mine still has. If you look, see it's got fluid.
Can you? I can't quite. There's a little bit of dirt on that bag. Can you run it under a tap?
Well, life hasn't been the same.
But it is kind of puffy. I don't know if it's supposed to be that puffy.
Squeeze harder.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like a lithium battery, although you're in the same period.
Look at the warning there. Can you guys see the warning?
Yep.
What you're saying is, don't put this. I hope they have lots of warnings on it.
That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing you want to throw in a bathtub of water, or a pond, or something like that.
Yeah, your neighbor's pond.
Yeah.
Of course, being in Canada, we don't think anybody's listening to this, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's do a quick little roundtable here and just see what everybody's up to. I'll start at my top left here with Ken. And what's he got now? Oh my God! I'm glad you moved to Paris. You're further west. Keep moving.
Oh, potassium. Oh, very good.
Keep moving.
It says PharmaSave.
Huh.
Yeah.
And what is that? Are those jugs of diesel back there too?
Yeah. So Ken, I guess you got a new toy, but have you got anything else on your bench?
Yeah, no, but that last month when Kevin was talking about that SI 4732, I just got a note that they built it in the factory and shipped it on Friday, so it should be here a couple of weeks, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Be ready to go. So once I get it, I'll do a review and just let everybody know. The reason I like it is it's compact. It runs off a built-in battery that gets charged by USB. It's all HF bands. I take it camping, throw a wire in the tree, and I can listen.
Yeah.
And it also covers AM, FM as well. There are other versions. There's the SI 4735. It's got some other features as well. I think the latest version of the chip that they have, I don't recall the number, it actually has FM transmitting.
Oh, okay.
Wow. That's all right.
So
okay,
I'm guessing in a couple of years they may have a transmitter built into it for the HF bands. Who knows?
You go ahead and build one. Put it in there, Dave. Right? Okay, well, we'll look forward to guys. So you said they put it in the mail. So where's it coming from?
You know.
Okay, so you'll get it in about 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, well, they said mid-April to end of April. I'm not expecting it till mid-May.
Yeah, I'm getting stuff from China now within a month. Well within.
Yeah.
So okay.
And I picked up myself a used rig.
Oh.
That's the Yaesu FT450. I don't actually know if it's the 450 or the 450D. I've been trying to find info on the net with the differences of the two, and everywhere I look, information's conflicting. The stamp on this one's a 450, but they said the 450 came with a built-in tuner. Well, if this is a 450, it has a built-in tuner. and it's got DSP filters as well. I picked this up from a guy in Welland. Took a drive out to his place. It was a lot cheaper than him shipping it out. It's 100 watts. It's a basic radio.
Yep.
It's got DSP filters. It's got a tuner. That's all I want. That's all I need.
I think you're better off with that than the other one you were considering.
Yeah. Well, after Armando pointed this out, I went through. Now, I had looked at the KWARC site the night before, and I didn't see it. And then in the group chat there, I guess he went searching, and he came across it, so it was a new listing.
Yeah.
So later on that day, I contacted the guy, and it turns out he's what was his call? VE3RH. He's an Elmer. He's an instructor, and he's an examiner as well. So he gave me some tips, helped me out. He told me if I have any problems, just give him a call.
Well, plug it in and let's find out. So
yeah, the end fed I got in the backyard is only good for 10 watts.
Pardon?
Is the end fed I got in the backyard is only good for 10 watts.
I use number 12 wire. That'll take more.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I built something for 150, but I'm waiting for a tow ride.
Okay. Oh. Where are we? There it is right there. It's all wrapped and ready to go. I'll just gotta go over to the post office and I'll get it mailed for you.
Yeah, no problem. I can't do anything with it until May anyways. Just don't have the time. But anyways, it's already got. I may even just plug it in, just check out the receiver and make sure. Yeah. See how it sounds. So I swore when I got back into ham radio in 2008 and I joined the club, I said, I do not want to buy a commercial rig. I want to just build my QRT stuff. Well, it's been taking too long. I got sick and tired of waiting. So I picked up this used rig for $600, and the guy threw in a 28 amp supply for it as well.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, now you've got the commercial rig, you'll probably start building your own stuff after that. It's usually the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, this thing is so compact. Like, it's only like, what, 3 inches high, 4 inches high, 8 inches wide, maybe 10 inches deep, and it doesn't weigh a lot. I can take that with me camping.
Yeah, you know what? You should talk to Dave after this meeting and see if you can get him to. He did mention something about Kenwood, although he didn't say nice things about Kenwood for his interface. But maybe he'll do a Yaesu interface for you.
Yeah, no, it's got everything. Oh no, it doesn't have it built in. Okay, that was the next model up. Had a sound card built in.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for that, Ken.
Yeah.
And then Dave, anything on your bench these days?
Yeah, there's lots of stuff on my bench.
Okay, that's good. Glad to see you're busy. Okay.
Peter, you're gonna love to see this. Let me just show you this.
Oh, so I should put you on full screen then?
So this is a program I'm working on here. Let me just you're gonna love seeing this. So this I wrote this. Oh shit! Of course it's gonna die. Oh, wrong program. Duh. What the heck?
Oh, I know what that's like.
Yeah. Anyway, Peter, it's a program allows you to generate a plot directly from your microcontroller.
Oh.
So what this does? This let me just comment out. It's loading a file here. Let me just comment this whole section. Oh, I think it's a tab there. It got tabbed in. No, yeah. So anyway, so it allows you because I got sick of transferring stuff to my Excel and printing, and so I built this here. There it is there. So you connect up to the microcontroller. There I'm connecting up, and I'll generate some data, and you'll see it'll plot. See, it's capturing the data from the microcontroller.
Yep.
It just takes a second there. It's done. You hit go, and it generates a plot. I still got to fix, a format, but it's basically, there you go. So, and that's data that came directly from the microcontroller. It's got X and a Y value, and it's just X and Y separated by commas. So it pulled it in and put it on a plot for you. So that's kind of what I'm working on.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. In some ways, I really don't want to say this, but if winter had lasted a little bit longer, I might have been further along with the with my stuff. But now that spring's here, okay. Well, thanks, Dave. And Dwayne, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Haven't been doing too much. Weather's gotten nice here, so I've been spending all my time basically doing yard work and antenna work, and that's just about it.
Well, I stared at my antenna out in the backyard today, and I thought, yeah, I guess I could try and get up another branch or two higher and stuff like that. So we'll probably be doing something similar as well, Dwayne, with that. Okay, what we got next on here? Oh, Howard, how's the QCX coming along?
Oh, pretty good. I'm probably about 3/4 through it. So the next step is the toroids for the low pass filter.
All right. Okay. And when do you expect to be on the air?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, but it shouldn't be too long, assuming it doesn't passes the smoke test.
In time for the next Monday session, in May?
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be cool. All right. That's great. Thank you, Howard. And Al, what's new with you today?
Well, I'm feeling a little bit out of date here with my vacuum tubes and hardware. I'm not doing any programming.
Well, no, yeah, but you guys with the vacuum tubes and stuff kind of keep us grounded, right?
Anyhow, what do they say? You never learn something until you build something and it doesn't work, and then you really have to figure it out. So I think I've mentioned I've been working on a DC receiver with vacuum tubes, and it's been giving me a lot of grief. So more recently, I was looking at the mixer. Has anybody ever tried to put a mixer in a DC direct conversion application onto a spectrum analyzer and actually see the conversion? I can do it on like a regular IF frequency, but the closer I get the input and the local oscillator together, my IF, or in this case, is an audio frequency, just it disappears into the noise of the spectrum analyzer. So anyhow, I'm playing with that, and of course, every time you try to test something, you decide you need another piece of test equipment or something. So past couple of weeks, I've been making an RF step attenuator. So this is something I found off of ARRL Antenna Handbook. So it came together rather well. It's all done with epoxy PC board. One thing I was going to comment, I've never built enclosures using PC board material. And this is the first time, and I can't believe how structurally sound this thing is. You could put a sodium bomb under this, and it would still survive.
Well, that was a nice,
excellent segue.
Good, Al, very good.
Anyhow, so that's what I've been up to, trying to. Of course, this was precipitated because I was trying to use the PARC SIGGEN as my local oscillator, and it puts out 17 dBm, and I needed to get it down to 7 dBm for the mixer. So another piece of test equipment. So that's what I've been up to.
Well, that's good. You said a couple of things that reminded me of some things, and one of them is I always say, what they'd say, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And I'd say, what came first, the test gear or the project? Because I found over the years they feed off of each other. You know, you're building projects and you're missing that piece of test gear, so you go get it, whether you build it or buy it, whatever. And now all of a sudden you got this piece of test gear that's gives you a little bit more capability. So now you build a little bit more complex project, and they feed off of each other.
They do.
Just keep going. So that's a cool way to go. That and
Peter.
Oh, and the other thing you mentioned there about always having problems, and you know, if you didn't have problems with these projects, you wouldn't learn anything. And I agree. I've said that as well. I wouldn't have learned anything if everything worked every time I turned the switch on. But having said all that, I wish at least once in my lifetime I could build a project and turn it on and it works first time. Just once.
Those are far and few between. I can remember as a young teenager, I used to subscribe to Popular Electronics, Radio Electronics magazine, and wonderful articles. I'm not sure any of those articles ever worked for me. I built a lot of them, but none of them would work.
Oh, dear. Okay, thanks, Al. Drew.
Yeah.
Projects on the bench today?
Well, I ordered I've been buying stuff from Forest State QRP, and fortunately they still ship to Canada. They don't ship overseas, but they'll ship to us. But I bought a thing called a Buzzkill, and the Buzzkill is a comb filter that was put together to take out 60 hertz and its harmonics. And we've all been dealing locally with a lot of power line noise, and this thing was built expressly for that purpose, was to try and take out the power line noise. And I just put it together. I haven't yet, there's some adjustments on it to be made where you can, once you have your noise isolated, you can actually adjust it and nail it out. And I'm going to have to put it on the oscilloscope just to see what it's doing, because I'm not sure exactly how the adjustments are supposed to go. But that was to improve reception on my my Bayou jumper, because it's quite noisy, and even with grounding and the like, it's still pretty noisy, and they tell you to expect that. So that's what I've been doing recently.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, thank you for that, Drew.
Well, again, I would never design anything, but I mean, I can build it.
Well, why wouldn't you want to design something?
Oh, at some point, you know, and 10 or 20 years from now,
start the design process. And then if you word it correctly, you might be able to suck in one of the group here to help you out with it.
Well, that's entirely possible. I must admit, I'm very, very intrigued with some of the stuff that's been coming out on the controller, because I built my own. The first one I built was a very long time ago with a 4N25 octo-isolator and just some diodes. And that's my interface for an Alinco DX70. It's what I used for my 6-meter contacts 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nowhere near as sophisticated as what Dave had there, but it works flawlessly and has worked in all kinds of applications ever since.
Oh, good stuff. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Phil, good evening.
Okay, good evening, Peter. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
I got two little things here, totally different. The guys on the CAREX list will have seen this already, but every day I download the weather satellite images from the 3 NOAA satellites and the Russian Meteor satellite. And today something very strange happened. It's never happened to me before.
You blew up the Russian satellite?
Well,
Dr. Evil.
Russian one has been doing strange things as well, but let me just share my screen here and explain it. All goes well. I'm using a different laptop here tonight, and I haven't quite figured out how to do all this thing quite right, but I think I can get this one. Okay, can you see 2 weather satellite pictures there?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, that was NOAA 15 on the right-hand side and NOAA 19 on the left-hand side, and that's Greenland right up at the top and Florida down at the south. They both, when you decode them, you have to account for Doppler, because there's obviously a lot of Doppler shift. And so the whatever you're using, in this case it's SDR console, takes care of that Doppler and eliminates the Doppler shift completely. Well, so you do these one at a time, and it accounts for the Doppler shift. Well, these two satellites came over the horizon up by Greenland there at the same time. Obviously, one further west than the other one, and they both came down either side of Kingston, one kind of down the east coast of the United States, and the other over the Great Lakes. So they're flying in formation, basically. One reached a maximum elevation to the east of about, I think it was 56 degrees, and the other reached a maximum elevation to the west of 68 degrees. So a little bit different, but essentially the same to the east and to the west. So SD console records not only the narrow bandwidth, but the whole band. So it's recording the whole 137 megahertz band. So it's recording both of these at the same time. So I never thought about it, but I went in and noticed they were both recorded. But I figured one of them got a big Doppler shift because it's correcting the Doppler shift on the other one. Well, if you think about it, since they were kind of symmetrical and they were going by on either side about the same range and then disappearing to the south about the same place, their Doppler shift was the same. Even though they're on opposite sides of Kingston, the Doppler shift was the same. So I went in and decoded one of them. Perfect. There was no Doppler variation. And I decoded the other one, and there was no Doppler variation on it either. They were both perfectly accounted for, even though it was only tracking on one of them. So that's never happened for me before. And you see, there was a bit of noise on the westerly one, but and a bit on the easterly one, but no Doppler shift. So that was a little bit different. So I'll stop sharing that. And is my image back there now?
Yep. Well, you are.
I am.
What frequency does that scan at? Do you know?
137.1 is the one for NOAA 19 and the Russian one. They're both on exactly the same frequency. The others are a little bit further up in the 137, 137.62 and 137.9125.
And that's gigahertz, right? Obviously.
Megahertz.
Oh, that's low frequency.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the uplink. I'm talking about the scanning frequency.
The downlink from those satellites is 137 megahertz.
No. I'm not talking about the radio. It's okay. The image you're getting, is that an optical image or is it a radar image?
It's a frequency wideband FM modulation.
It's an optical
picture.
image.
The picture the satellite's taking, is it optical? It's taking, or is it doing radar?
No, it's optical. There's 7 bands, I guess, total, or 5 for NOAA, and they select different ones at different times of the day. The Russian ones have the same bands pretty well. They were doing the visible, the near IR, and the thermal IR, which is away out at 11 microns. So it'll work fine at night, but it won't. It doesn't give.
Oh, you're talking about the Doppler shift of the downlink as it's moving. It's compressing the wave.
I'm talking about the Doppler shift of the RF at 130.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Dave, I think it's 2400 baud FSK or something. It's like low bitrate modem.
No, I thought he was talking about it was a radar scan. It was some of these satellites that do a radar imaging, like ground penetrating radar. It does a radar, and that way it could punch through all the stuff, right?
No, this is optical cameras, and I think they just transmit it using FSK, so simple low bitrate modems. But the Doppler is on the carrier, which has to be removed before you can demodulate it.
You're muted, Dave.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
You're muted, Dave.
Oh, as it's moving, it's shifting the frequency. It's that Einstein thing,
Yeah, actually, I think it might be, the reason might be if these satellites are going north to south, then the Doppler shift is all in the vertical direction and like the up and down direction. There's no lateral motion, it's Doppler shift, so, or it's very low. So whether it's east or west of Kingston, that Doppler shift will be very small.
Well, it's a quite a bit when it's coming toward you. It's higher because it's closing. It's higher by 3 to 4 let's see, 3 to 4 kilohertz. And as it goes by, exactly by, it's 0. And then as it goes away from you, it drops the same amount as it was higher approaching. It's that much lower going away. So it's something like between 5 and 3 kilohertz up at the first and that much down when it's going away.
Yeah, keep in mind, Hassan, too, keep in mind like all the GPS satellites, because they're moving so fast and they're in the gravity well, they have to adjust for relativistic effects. So they have the same kind of thing. They're moving. So all kinds of stuff happens when you're moving that fast. So yeah, I could see Doppler being a...
Now when you're, I've got an ICOM 9700 where I talk through the CubeSats. And the Doppler shift there, of course, at VHF is about the same, 4 kilohertz or so. And you have to account for that. You have to have a program that will account for that if you're operating sideband, for example. If you're operating FM will pretty well take care of that much shift. But sideband or CW, you can't hack 4 kilohertz of shift. You're chasing it all over the place. So you have to have a software program to take that out. Now, some of the satellites, instead of going in on UHF and coming out on VHF, they go in on VHF and go out on UHF. So if you have a higher frequency coming out at 440 hertz or 440 megahertz, then the amount of shift is more because it's a higher frequency. So you have to adjust a lot more if you don't have the automatic adjustment in the software.
Yeah, because you're compressing what's happening, it's moving, and because you have more waves, you're kind of compressing it, right?
Yeah, it's a different percentage of each wave, yeah.
Well, you were doing some of that stuff manually, weren't you, Phil?
What's that?
You were doing some of that Doppler shift manually at one time, weren't you?
Maybe at the very beginning, but I haven't done that for a long time. I've got various software packages here that do it. That SDR console will do it, but for the two-way satellite communications, I use Ham Radio Deluxe. Okay, the other thing I had, I don't know if you can see it here because I can't see my own video at the moment, but I'll just hold it up here. That's a lightning arrestor. Can you see a diamond lightning arrestor? I don't know how clear it might be there. Doesn't really matter, just showing that I've got one. We've been talking about these sorts of things, lightning arrestors and grounding and safety and all that sort of stuff quite a bit here in Kingston. I think you guys have been talking about it a bit and got me all worried that I haven't got much of that. I just unplugged the coax, but that's not really enough. So I decided I needed some of these. So I ordered 4 of these from Amazon. And I think Amazon is in a state of confusion, probably because of their shutdown at the Toronto plant or something. They're not very efficient at the moment. It took them quite a long time to deliver. I ordered 4. They delivered 1 and said they delivered 2, but they only delivered 1. Then it showed that on the second part of the package, they're putting 3 there. So I figured, okay, well, that's okay. If I get 3 in the second half, I was only looking for 4 total anyway. Well, I got a notice today that it would be delivered today. I just checked there now. It says it's been ordered, but it has not been shipped yet. But it's going to be delivered here to my house at 10 p.m. by 10 p.m. tonight. I think there's something wrong.
Phil.
I think there's something wrong in the Amazon world there today in the last week or so. Probably
sounds like you broke them, Phil.
I must have broke them. Anyway,
they're all sick.
That's all I got, Peter.
Okay, thanks, Phil, for that.
As long as you don't get a full Gatorade bottle with some yellowish liquid in it instead. You're doing good.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'll try not to get that.
Okay, Hassan, you got anything on your bench these days?
Yeah, let me check the video. So I took a bit of a detour from electronics because my wife was complaining about how messy my oscilloscope was. So I actually, it just looked like a piece of junk to her. So I built a PC case with a glass side, and I did that so I could hook up my FPGA PCIe card on it. And I actually got that working. I got it booting Linux, and I did some sample code, and I got some HDMI color bars output, just purely with a software program. So now I can try to do something cool with it. I don't know what I'll do, but maybe use it to process my SDR outputs or something.
If you're trying to show us something, do you have a camera on?
Yeah, I do. You can't see it?
No.
No.
What?
As a matter of fact, I don't even see a signal saying here that you've got a muted camera. Or
how about now?
No.
Oh boy. Well,
you fixed your oscilloscope, but you broke your computer.
Yeah. Well, I can see it on my screen, so I don't know why you guys can't see it.
Well, Jitsy's not even reporting that you've got a camera on or off. It's just blank.
Huh.
Actually, your stats show you as a lost connection.
That's odd.
Should leave and come back in again.
Okay, I'll do that. Give me 1 sec.
Anyways, quickly, I wanted to show Al talking about PCB material cases.
Yeah.
I never buy cases unless it's something, like the thick aluminum pre-molded stuff. But I built the same attenuator.
Yep. Very nice.
And it's I can access it through the two bottom pieces there. I just desolder a couple places. So that's how I do that. I also have a couple of other QRP meters that I built using PC. And this one is a QRP 40 meter. So the case is entirely in PCB material.
Nice. This must have been a kit, this attenuator, because I bought one that is built out of PCB board with little micro switches on it, with I think five stages of attenuation. It must have been a magazine article some years ago.
Yeah, I think actually QRP guys are doing some of their smaller test equipment kits with PCB material.
Okay,
it's nice to build with. Good
stuff.
It's pretty easy to work with. It cuts through the bandsaw like balsa wood, and then you can join it with solder, and it's rock solid. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, well, what I usually do is just use a straight edge, a big X-Acto knife, a couple of slices on each side, and just snaps right off.
Snaps up.
Yeah, and if you can see on the front there, I've got 3 holes. I used to have 5, and it's very easy to fill those holes in with PCB material. What I do is I just I have a little cutout. It punches a piece. I just lay it flat, put a little bit of crazy glue on it until it sets up, and then what I do is I take my machine tool and I make a bunch of dust out of the PCB material. Then I mix it with crazy glue, fill it in, sand it down, and it's flush.
Very good. Okay, I see we got Hassan and his camera back.
You're muted, Hassan.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I built this PC case mainly so I can access the PCIe slot for the FPGA, and also I'm getting brownie points with my wife so that I have some good-looking junk on the electronic.
Well, I'm a little bit confused because XYLs are not allowed in the shack. Isn't that a rule?
The shack's in the basement, and I moved it upstairs so I could, because it was too cold to go down there in the winter. So I was using my living room desk. So, you know, it's pretty cold and lonely down there. And, you know, the wintertime, I like to work upstairs.
See, well, first off, I'll argue with lonely, but this is the other thing that cures that cold stuff. You recognize that? I know there's no microcontroller on it, but nonetheless.
Is that a vacuum tube or is there sodium in there?
Hey, send it to Dave. He'll put a UC in it.
All right.
I mean, between heaters and letting the smoke out, you should stay nice and toasty.
Okay. Thanks for that, Hussein. Okay, Eric, over to you.
Who's that?
Mute your mic.
Hassan, mute. There we go.
Anything on your bench, Eric?
Yeah. A couple of comments though before we move on. Phil, are you sure some of that disturbance in those images are not those Jewish space lasers that Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about? Because I don't know. That's my thought when I see what I see there. That's a thing, isn't it? And also, Peter, you were talking about, you know, when things don't work the way you want them. Here, I've just posted a link in the chat for a 2-minute video that's worth a watch when things don't go your way. I thought it was kind of inspiring. So,
okay.
But for things that do go your way, well, I mean, I have to keep it simple. So this is my, you know, grandiose project. It's the 4-state QRP none simpler 40-meter transmitter. So this is something I was going to use on Monday at the Carex thing, but didn't quite get that far. I was only receiving and didn't even fare too well in that. But Peter, I would like to actually give this a try with you, maybe on a one-on-one QSO at some point. But it's a neat little thing. I don't know. You probably heard of it before, but get this straight. But it's got no toroids or winding, nothing on that. It's you know, if nobody's seen it before, you can probably see the little traces on there. That works as you know, basically inductors, etched spirals on the PC board. So, you know, 14 components and you're done. So this was actually what was built during the ill-fated QSO. Well, no, not the buildathon was all right for the QSO Today Expo, but anyway, this was one of the kits. So, and anyway, so Peter, if you're up to that at some point, yeah,
sure, we'll figure something out.
Get a quiet. That seemed very noisy on the bands. Well, not noisy, but I mean lots of activity, right?
Yeah, I think yeah. We had a little bit of discussion back and forth today and whatnot, but I think really, you know, what would be interesting is if we can get some more Peel guys to come out on that first Monday of the month kind of thing, and then at least you guys will be able to hear each other there, and maybe there'll be a freak of the propagation gods, and maybe we'll get a connection back and forth between Kingston and Toronto. But it'd be good if we can get more people out from PARC, and then at least, you know, you could start hearing each other, right? Because at this point we're talking low power when we're talking about our HB rigs. I mean, I guess it could be nights where when we decide to use a commercial rig, or you know, and you're putting out 100 watts, then it might be a little bit different. But right.
Have you ever done 40 meters from Kingston to Toronto that you know of?
Yes,
successfully. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember for sure, but I think it was CW. I did say earlier on it was sideband, but it was QRP, but it wasn't. It was on 60 meters that I had that sideband contact with Frank. And that was QRP. He was down to about 1 watt, I think, and we could still. And I think I was at around 5 or maybe a bit more. And we were still communicating on sideband, but that was 60 meters.
60 meters, okay.
There wouldn't be as much competition on that as there was on 40.
Well, that's the other thing. Maybe, Eric, we'd try something during the daytime.
Right. Yeah.
Is that 40? Is that rock bound? No, that's not rock bound, is it?
This one is absolutely, yeah. I don't know off the top of my head what frequency it is, but yeah, it's no tuning on this baby. It's one crystal. So. Okay.
That's a very similar radio to the Cricket that I bought from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you attach the BNC connector on it, did mine? They warned me about it being quite fragile, and since then, I'm thinking I have a bit of a loose connection there. Have you experienced any of that with yours?
No, not at all. Actually, it's got quite a robust, connector on it. I've had like no wiggling whatsoever. I put the coax adapter in it, and now the thing is part of it. It doesn't wiggle at all. There's no play in it. So
that's the way mine is too.
Yeah. So
I think
they're interesting little rigs. That's what, about a watt?
5.
Oh, okay. So that's the 5-watt version of the Cricket then.
Yeah, it's 5 watts, 7.030 actually. I just noticed here. So
you got the 030 crystal.
Yeah, 7030. It's 2 transistors, like a MOPA.
Yep.
So Class E final. So
those are the MPF 102s on that.
Like the oscillator or the
final?
No, the final.
Oh, the final. IRF 510.
Okay. Yes. No. That's similar to the Bio Jumper.
Okay.
The same guy's design. I think it's NM0S or N0MS. I think he's the designer for most of these.
Yeah, David Crape.
Yeah.
President of QRP International.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but maybe Dave knows for sure. But I think, Eric, you need a Canadian license to operate that rig.
Not on CW. I think there's some privileges that
All right, moving on.
Yeah, that's the only thing on my bench that's radio related right now. So There you go.
All right, thanks. Okay, Kevin, you still there?
Yeah, I am still here.
There's been a couple of comments tonight, Kevin, that kind of reminded me of a project you and I were working on a while back.
I think you woke him up.
No, I'm installing Raspberry Pi software. It's in the background here.
So what's on the bench? Besides
well, I'm trying to figure out how to do read I2C with my scope.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I'm using the PARC SIGGEN as the thing to record, but Dave's got so many messages going back and forth. It's hard to figure out whether what I'm seeing is right or wrong.
Well, we'll be decoding the secrets. You'll be showing us next month, or no, not next month, later this month, all of Dave's secrets of programming, will you?
Well, I think I'm going to go just write something really, really simple. It's like he was recommending to you today. You write something simple on its own, make it work, understand it, then put it in the production code. So that's the next step, because it's there's just too many. It's addressing the F5351, and then it sends something to the display, and then it sends something to the 5351 again. Then it sends something else to the display, and just trying to capture all that data and figure out and make sure that try to relate it, what I'm seeing, to what it's supposed to send.
Yeah.
It does work. I mean, it does capture data, but I'm just trying to make sure I understand it. Anyway.
Say anything. We'll just believe you.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good.
But I am using the scope software with that, and that's nice. I like it.
Oh, okay.
The remote control over the LAN. I have my scope plugged into the LAN, and I do everything with my laptop. So that's a cool thing to have if you don't have it for the Siglent.
Yes, that's what I have. Okay, well, that sounds great. Well, and then I guess that's about it. Well, for me, it's all software at the moment. The software's got me so preoccupied now that I've long forgotten about wanting to do any more hardware changes on my project. But we'll get to it eventually, I'm sure, and then we'll post a question on that one. Okay, so I guess that's any other comments, queries, or anything like that from anybody tonight? Okay, well, good stuff. Well, hopefully Ken, get your rig up and running. And on Monday there, Al and Eric joined the Carex crew for our Monday night session. And I think Al said he might have heard me when I bumped up my transmitter to 100 watts, but we're not 100% sure. It was a pretty busy night. There was an awful lot of activity. So QRP and Toronto to Kingston is probably not going to work very well on a Monday night, 8 o'clock in the evening. So may have to do it at a different time of the day. Anyway, we still plan to do something of some flavor, and I'll make the announcements here as well as to whatever we're doing. But ink in the first Monday of the month for some CW stuff, and And don't worry about being able to copy all that well, because there's probably more of us on Carex that copy about 5 words per minute or less than those of us that can copy and send at 10 or more. But the ones that do go up that high will have no problem coming down lower too. So keep that in mind. And I guess that Dave, will allow you to cheat if you want to use your keyboard. Okay, thanks for everybody for joining in tonight. It's been most interesting and good to see everybody again. And we'll see you. What is the date? 21st. Oh, no, 21st. Oh, that's my son's birthday. Holy shit! I might have to bypass that one. Okay, Eric, you're going to be recording. Well, maybe my son won't make it over for his birthday, so I'll be able to join in. Okay.
Okay, I got a request.
What was that
request? I have a request.
Go ahead.
Can we move this to 7:30 rather than starting at 8?
Why is that?
Oh, it's just a lot easier. Then I won't fall asleep on the couch waiting for 8 o'clock.
Oh my God! I guess we could throw it to a vote or a discussion later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Let's send some emails around on that one, and we'll go for that.
All right.
2 yays and 1 nay. Yeah, we'll talk about it. See what everybody wants to do.
All right. Cool.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night all.
Dave, don't leave for a sec. I got a question for you specifically.
Yeah.
Well, does that mean you want all of us to leave?
No, it's fine. It's not about his genital warts or anything this time. So so I know you're kind of the expert on this stuff or whatever. What do you have any pro tips or for chargers for what I've got in my hand here? Like any suggestions?
Yeah, that's a balanced, the little white plug. It's a balanced charger.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so it's so that it allows you, like, that's a better charger, because what'll happen, you got how many cells? It's a 3-cell.
Right.
So it charges each cell and it monitors the voltage on each cell. But you can't just get a charger and just charge the whole thing. You put in like 12 volts, but you got to be careful with these lithium batteries, because if you discharge them too low, that's it, toast, done.
Right. So I'm just saying, I see chargers like listed on Amazon and all that, but I mean, are there any one better than the other, or just make sure one that has the balancing circuit on it?
Yeah, if you get one that's got the better ones, a balancer, like I got.
They're not very expensive, those ones.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, I saw them for $50, $60, something like that. So.
That's actually a lot more than I spent for mine. I used to buy. I have a bunch of those, and you can spend anywhere on the spectrum. The ones that I got for, I don't know, I suppose $20 seem to work fine.
Huh.
Up to
and they have balancing circuits and everything?
They do, yes. They come with a balancing circuit. Now, you can buy a lot more expensive one if you want, and it may be better if you're going to do a lot more. Like, that looks like a more expensive one there.
No, this one was cheap. This is like, it's a Hextronic, so I got it from Hobby King.
Yeah.
And that's got a good
supplier.
And that's got, like, it's got multiple plugs. You could plug in any kind of, see at the bottom, and they come with cables, so you can do 4, 2, 4, 5 cell.
Yep.
And this thing, it's fantastic. I've been using that. Then I got this other charger here. Okay, and it basically, what it is it charges. You could see I made up my own pin here.
Yep.
So I plug it in and I can charge an individual cell, and I set it. It's got an interface where I could set it to the number of cells.
Okay.
Right. So this thing, you could charge the entire battery. If you go and you set it to like 4, it'll do up to 4 cells.
But you can do individual cells if you want.
You set the current. You got to make sure you got the current right, because it charges at the same rate of the milliamp hour rating, right? Because if it's a 20C battery, you could discharge it 20 times the milliamp rating, right?
Yeah, this is a 35, this one. So
yeah, that's a big one. You got
So it
got a
means-
big quadcopter for it or something?
No, I just picked it up as a little portable supply, basically. You know, it's close to 12 volts, so.
The better charger is you go through a menu, and as you tell it what you've got, it will tell you, it'll give you the ability to choose your charging current.
Right.
And in all cases, I've always chosen like an amp or an amp and a half. I never put a lot of current into them. I'm quite happy to wait.
Yeah. You got to be careful with these things, from what I understand. So.
Now, the other thing too is though, because it's only 11 volts, 11.1 volts, you're not going to get 5 watts out of that HB rig of yours.
Oh, you can. That thing. If it's what's the C rating of it?
35.
35C. So it's 35 times 3 amps. That's how many amps you could pull out of that.
But it only goes to 11.1 volts.
Yeah, but it's 11.1 volts. A lot of these rigs to get the full power out, you need 13.
Yeah. I run my rig at 12 volts, and I don't get near 100 watts, but I get like, I don't know, 85 or 90 watts or something like that.
Yeah, that's only starting with 5.
Yeah. Those little lithium batteries are so convenient compared to carrying around a gel cell, though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, don't most of these rigs have a tolerance, quite a wide tolerance for voltage, input voltage? No?
They do. They're rated like, yours will be rated at 13.2 volts or something like that for 5 watts.
Is that a 7.4 there, Dave?
No, that's 11.1.
That's a bigger.
That's 11.1 for my heli.
So you guys are allowed to do all that stuff up in Toronto. Down here, you got to go out to a special place to fly anything. It's highly.
No, you could go. You could. There's no rules around. Like it's just drones. Anything. If it's got a camera, you got problems. But you're perfectly able to go and take a model airplane or a model helicopter, and you can go fly it anywhere you want, as long as you don't put the public in danger.
Well, my flying skills are such that I haven't killed anybody yet.
Yeah, no. So it's like it's just drones.
Yeah.
The big thing now is drones. That just got some real draconian rules around drones.
Guess who's got a bunch of them?
Yeah, and so I got a drone here.
I went out and bought one that's 249 grams just to spite them.
Oh dear.
All right. Well, I'll check out Hobby King. You recommend them as a supplier?
I'll try and send a note to Peter. I don't have your email there, but the one that I have, I find very, very good. It came with some stuff that I bought, and I'll have to go look up its name.
The only thing, Eric, is with the Hobby King, it's like a month to 2 months to get it because coming from China on a slow boat. So if you're in a rush, get it from or even Banggood.
But go to Banggood. All that stuff's coming airmail, anyways. Like these little perf boards here.
Yeah.
You ever send airmail?
Yep, I've been getting airmail from China.
I've been getting for a lot of stuff for quite a while now.
And that may have changed. Like I just ordered a piece of equipment from Amazon, a medical thing, and they said it was supposed to come last week. I'm still waiting for it.
Did you buy a sodium holder?
No. It's a electroshocking thing.
Oh, a Dr. Hose.
Yeah.
Dr. Hose revitalizer. Yeah, it's gonna.
I got tennis elbow, and so I've been spending a ton of money seeing physiotherapists.
Oh, you're starting.
That's all they do. They put the pads on, and it just pulsates your muscles.
You should step up the voltage on that and put it on your cranium.
Yeah, on my balls. Attach it to my balls.
I think I'm gonna get a separate place for dating next year. Okay.
Anyway,
Eric, maybe this house thing is not a good idea.
Charger for you, Eric, and send it to Peter with the details so you can see what it does and how it's $20.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, I'm even just like casually scrolling through Hobby King, and I mean, there's a few things here, but I'm seeing 25 to 45. So
that's and you know,
yeah, just check, Eric. The only thing about Hobby King, you got to be careful. Check the reviews, read them.
Yeah.
Be careful because they sell a lot of crap, a lot of junk, and check the ratings, make sure, go through it, and you'll get a lot of people that are honest. And I'll say, look, don't buy this, it's a piece of junk. And if you see 4 or 5 people saying that, you don't buy it.
The one thing I've noticed with these chargers are none of them are CSA approved. None of them have any kind of anything on them. And they all have 3-pin plugs. And
we've had 20
basically connecting them to a
none of that stuff CSA approved.
Hey, we got sodium.
You want to have this thing out in the garage somewhere, and you don't want to ever leave it alone.
Who stores sodium next to it?
Yeah, like these things are. It's a little scary when they get going because you begin to realize what it's doing, and it's entirely automatic. You don't have any control over it once it starts the program, and if it decides to go on you, you won't have time to react to it. So it
I try to charge it in a metal container, basically.
Oh, those things go like nuts.
Yeah,
they're,
that's the one thing.
That's like this thing. I bought a Dayton. I bought it, brought it home, and then if you check the back, I didn't look at it, but there's no FCC approval on it.
No, those things don't have it.
And so I took it to Dayton, and there's a reason why it doesn't have an FCC approval, because it doesn't meet FCC approval.
Splat.
Yeah, it broadcasts everywhere.
Okay, it wasn't that bad.
No, look,
it was
Eric.
It was about 5 dB off from what the harmonics are supposed to be down. It wasn't that far off.
No, I had a watch that I gave down to the ARRL to measure, and it was